Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. We are back with another video. Today we will have a look on the 5 penny stock companies who has given more than 100% returns to its shareholders in the last 1 month. So let's start the discussion with the first company in our list. It is Mata Glass Ltd. The current price of the company is 1.44 rupees, whereas in 1 month the company has given almost 165% returns to its shareholders. So now let's have a look about the company's business. So as per the name, company is actually engaged in the glass business and procuring orders as a sales agent in eastern and northern region of India. So now let's have a look on the graph of the company. So the first one is the sales growth. So in 1 year the company has given almost 529% growth, whereas in 5 years it has given almost infinite percent returns to its shareholders. Whereas if you see the profit growth for 1 year was negative 115%, whereas in the last 5 years it was around negative 140% CAGR. Whereas in ROE, which is return on equity, for 1 year was around negative 3%, whereas for 5 years was around positive 9.76%. And the last one is ROC, which is return on capital employed, for 1 year was negative 2.84%, whereas in 5 years was around positive 10.55%. So now let's have a look on the fundamental key highlights of this company. So we will have a quick snap about this company. Like the PE is around 90, the ROC is negative almost 3%, the EPS is around 0.02 rupees. The EPS means earning per share. The ROE, which is return on equity, is around negative 2.62%, and the promoters holding is 44.5%. So this is the fundamental key highlights of the company. Now let's have a look on the pros and cons account of the company. So the first one is company has reduced debt, and the second is the company is almost debt free. Whereas in cons, the stock is almost trading 5 times its book value, and the company has a low ROE, which is return on equity of 1.25% in the last 3 years. So this is the overall detail of the first company in our list. The second company is Softrak Ventures Investment Limited. So the current price of the company is around 1.91 rupees. In just 1 month, the company has given almost 152% returns to its shareholders in just 1 month. The all-time low was 0.72 rupees, where the high was 1.82 rupees. So now let's have a look about the company's business. So the company is actually operates its business of professional, technical and business services to its customers. So this is the overall detail about the company. So now let's have a look. So the income growth for 1 year was around infinite. For 5 years it was positive 98.36% in 5 years in terms of CAGR. Whereas in profit growth for 1 year was around 174%, whereas in 5 years was 135%. The ROE, which is return on equity, for 1 year was around positive 0.18%, whereas in 5 years was negative 0.03%. The ROC, which is return on capital employed, for 1 year was around positive 0.24%, whereas in the last 5 years it was around negative 0.02% for the last 5 years. So this is the overall graph of the company. So now let's have a look on the fundamental key highlights. So the P is around 95.6, the ROC, which is return on capital employed, is around 0.23%. The EPS is around 0.02 rupees. The ROE is around, which is return on equity, is around 0.19%. The promoters holding is 0.45%. So this is the overall fundamental key highlights of the company. So now let's have a look on the pros and cons. So the company, in pros, the company is almost debt free. The stock is almost trading 0.2 times its book value, whereas in cons, the promoters holding is low, around 0.45%, and the company has a low ROE of around negative 0.05% in the last 3 years. And the third one is company has high debt of around 1,04,001 days, which is very high. So this is the second company. So the third company is Adcon Capital Service Limited. So the current price is around 3.6 rupees, where the all-time high was around 3.43 rupees and the low was 1.49 rupees. In just 1 month, the company has given almost 130% growth to its shareholders. So now let's have a look about the company's business. So the company is actually non-deposit taking NBFC. So this is the overall detail about the company. So now let's have a look on the fundamental key highlights of this company. So the PE is around 795, the ROC is 13%, the EPS is 0.00 rupees, the ROE is around 10.7%, and the promoters holding is 0.00%. So this is the overall fundamental key highlights. So now let's have a look on the pros and cons. So in the pros, the company is almost debt free, and in cons, the stock is trading almost 31 times its book value. The company is reporting relatively profit, but it's not paying any dividend. The company has a low ROEs of around 5.03% in the last 3 years, and the last one is company has a high debt of 164 days. So now let's have a look on the fourth company in our list, which is Virgo Global Ltd. So the current price is around 8.35 rupees, where the all-time high was around 8 rupees and the low was 3.21 rupees. In just 1 month, the company has given more than 147% returns to its shareholders in the last 1 month. So now let's have a look about the company's business. So the company is engaged in the business of manufacturing, trading, dealings and maintenance of software, hardware and many more operating systems. So the company is also involved in the assembled data processors, program designing and to buy or sell or otherwise deal in other hardware and software packaging and all types of tabular machines, accounting machines, calculators, computerized telecommunication systems and networks, their components, spare parts, equipments and devices, etc. So the company has a wide range of product in its portfolio. So now let's have a look on the graph of the company. So the first one in our list is a sales one. So sales of the company for 1 year was around 18.13%, whereas for 5 years was around 65.11% in the form of CAGR. And in profit growth for 1 year was around 381% and for 5 years was around 67.82%. For ROE, which is return on equity, for 1 year was around 30% and for 5 years was around 12.07% in a form of CAGR. And the ROC, which is return on capital employed, for 1 year was around 22% and for 5 years were around 9.21%. So this is the overall graph of the company. So now let's have a look on the fundamental key highlights of the company. So the P is around 18.3. The market cap of the company was around 8.7 crores. The ROC, which is return on capital employed, is around 21.5%. The EPS, which is earning per share, is 0.46 rupees. The ROE, which is return on equity, was around 30%, and the promoters holding is 31%. So this is the overall fundamental key highlights of the company. So now let's have a look on the pros and cons account of the company. So in pros, we doesn't have any data, but whereas in cons, the stock is almost trading 15.4 times its book value. So through the company is reportedly making profit, but it's not paying out any dividend. The promoters holding is very low, which is around 31%. And the last one is company might be capitalizing the interest cost. So this is the overall pros and cons account of the company. So now the last company in our list is Vintron Informatics Ltd. So the current price is around 3.6 rupees. All-time high was around 3.43 rupees and the low was 1.42 rupees. In just 1 month, the company has given more than 141% returns to its shareholders in just 1 month. So now let's have a look about the company's business. So the company is actually engaged in the manufacturers of electronic items and renders related to job work services. So now let's have a look on the graph of the company. So the first one is the sales growth. So in 1 year, the company has a sales growth of 38% CAGR, whereas in 5 years was around negative 5% CAGR. The company's profit growth for 1 year was around 41.78% and for 5 years was around 12.5%. Whereas the company's ROE, which is return on equity, for 1 year and 5 years remains 0%, as we doesn't collect any type of data about ROE. But whereas in ROC, which is return on capital employed, for 1 year was around negative 125% and for 5 years was around negative 28.5%. So this was the detail about the graph of the company. So now let's have a look on the fundamental key highlights of the company. So the market cap is around 28.2 crores. The PE is around 23. The ROE, which is return on equity, we doesn't have any data about ROE, but the ROC, which is return on capital employed, was around negative 26%. The EPS, which is earning per share, was around rupees 0.16 rupees. The book value is around negative 1.34 rupees and the promoters holding is 74%. So this is the key fundamental highlights of the company. So now let's have a look on the pros and cons account of the company. So in pros, the company has reduced debt, whereas in cons, the company has delivered a poor sales growth of negative 5% in the last 5 years. The second one is the earning includes other income of around 1.14%, which doesn't have mentioned about from where the company has got that money. So this was the detail of the 5 different penny stocks which are trading and given more than 100% returns to its shareholders in the last 1 month. So I just want to mention this, that this is not a buy or sell recommendation video. This is just for your personal knowledge and do your own analysis before investing. So tell me in which penny stock you have already bought and have some positions, and tell me how much % of growth you have taken in 2022. I will be loving to hear from all of you on my comment section. So thank you so much for spending some time with us. We will back with another topic. Till then, bye and have a nice day. Bye-bye. Just to remind you this, that in penny stock, a lot of pump and dump is actually been done. So please be careful while doing so, because a lot of money has been just invested for this penny stocks. So if you have any unwanted money, yes, then it is okay. But please be aware about that. And this is not a bias or recommendation video. Thank you.